What's going on, everyone? Commodore Urban in the house. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Damn it. Shit. Oh, man, I knew the White Castle was going to do that. Fuck. Never eat White Castle, guys. It's good, but it'll tear your ass up. Anyway, we got ourselves a book review. That's right, I'm doing another one, but this time, this book review is actually on a ship. And I kind of knew about this ship, but I didn't know much about her. But then I saw this book, and it was in the war section. It's called The Nazi Titanic. The Incredible Untold Story of a Doomed Ship in World War II by Robert P. Watson. So I picked it up, and I read it. And it's very good. Very good indeed. The plot of the story, it is the history of the SS Cape Arcona, which she was built in the late 20s as a luxury liner for the Hamburg Sud Line. And the inspiration for her construction and for her interior design has come from the infamous Lost Titanic, which I have a model of behind me here. And that's where the inspiration for the Cape Arcona came from. The engineers at Blom and Voss, the yard that built her, even studied the plans of the lost liner to have a better understanding and also to figure out where things went wrong. But the ship was over 600 and some odd feet in length, and she was twin screw, and she was turbine powered versus reciprocating engine powered. I actually have a book here that shows a little bit more detail about the history of the ship in this book, Ocean Liners. Let's find it here, and then we'll dig into her history a little bit, because I think we should. Right here at Cape Arcona, right here she is. She was 675 feet in length. She was 84 feet in width. 27,560 gross tons. She had a speed of 21 knots. She could carry 1,315 passengers and 630 crew. And it says here that she set out on her maiden voyage in November the 19th of 1927 and took the route. It was very profitable. She was perfectly suited for the clientele she was targeting, wealthy colonials and immigrants. And 1940, she was required as a barrack ship. She remained there until 1945, when she took part of the evacuation of German nationals from East Prussia who were fleeing from the Soviet advance. And in 1945, she evacuated 5,000 prisoners. But then, we'll talk a little bit more about that in this book. But basically, this is more than just the story of the ship. This is also the story of the Holocaust. Yes, the dreaded thing everybody does not like to hear about. The Nazis killing everyone else that they found fit to be vermin, like Jews and whatever else have you. This ship has a lot to tie in with the Nazis, hence the name the Nazi Titanic. One reason why she was used as an actual stage for the propaganda film Titanic, made in the 40s. Yes, and I've heard of the movie, but I've never seen it. I may try to find it and watch it and give a review on it. Let's see, there's some pictures inside this book. We're back in the days of being a cruise liner. And there's some pictures of the Nazi regime. And it says here, Adolf Hitler, who was passionate about big ships, poses with a group of sailors aboard the warship Deutschland. And there's pictures here of Joseph Goebbels. He was the Minister of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, and a real crazy psychopathic bastard. So is Hitler. And here's the guy responsible for the Titanic movie, Albert Selton, which later he was found hung in his jail cell. Bunch of crazy shit going on there. the Cape Arcona in later years. And finally, yes, the Cape Arcona was destroyed by Royal Air Force bombers. And it's a really messed up story there. When she was anchored in that part of Germany, which, I can't remember the name of that part of Germany. I gotta look here real quick. Sorry guys, I just got done reading this an hour ago. She was anchored in the Bay of Lubeck, along with the Deutschland, which was a passenger liner, and two older cargo freighters, and they were packed full of concentration camp prisoners. And the Royal Air Force came and was their mission was to destroy enemy ships belonging to Germany. But there was intel given to them that those ships were carrying prisoners or had prisoners on board. But because of the chain of command, the messages did not get received, and the ships were bombed and destroyed, and thousands upon thousands of people were killed. And it's a very gruesome thing. And throughout the chapters here, it isn't just talking about, the ship, but it's also talking about, the making of the movie, the Nazi Titanic, and the changing of the war, and it's also talking about the different concentration camps, like the infamous New Gaiman and Auschwitz. And this is definitely not your typical ocean liner book. I mean, if you're fascinated with ocean liners like I am, you will love this book. It gives you a very detailed history on an ocean liner that's basically almost been forgotten. But at the same time, it gives you a pretty in-depth look at the Nazi regime and all the evils and the hatred and just the horrid shit they were doing to innocent people. And when I say this, I really am being very dead serious, but the Nazis were just a bunch of fucking bloodthirsty monsters, led by a bloodthirsty monster himself, Adolf Hitler. He was a crazy psychopathic son of a bitch. And yes, he might have been a great leader, he might have been a powerful leader, but he was a crazy fucker at the same time. He had mental problems, and he was a drug abuser. So when you got those kind of things as schizophrenia and shit like that, yeah, you're gonna be fucking crazy. And leaving a country full of crazy people, that's fucking worse. And they're saying that the Jews are the scum of the earth and that they're vermin and shit. I mean, who the fuck thinks like that? Nobody's scum, nobody's vermin. God created everyone equally. But this book reveals some of the horrors of that. So if you're kind of squeamish on the fact that if you tend to stay away from stuff about the Holocaust, do not read the Nazi Titanic. But if you're like me, you like to learn about history and you like ocean liners, definitely give this book a good read. And it's written by Robert P. Watson. There he is. And he's written over 36 books and multiple articles. And here are a few things they said about Nazi Titanic. Here's a few things they said about the Nazi Titanic. Well, what an incredible and tragic story. Just when you think nothing more could be written about the Jewish prisoners suffering during the Holocaust, along came this remarkable account. I cried with pain at Professor Watson's portrayal of hell during the final days of World War II. A must-read for anyone who cares about the brutality of war. Here's another one. Combining rigorous scholarship with compelling you are there narrative. The Nazi Titanic is once fascinating, engaging, chilling, and revolutionary. It's a journey everyone should undergo. Fascinating, insightful, and dramatic, Robert Watson's The Nazi Titanic offers a unique World War II story, a single ship whose tumultuous history unfolds as a metaphor for the Nazi ship estate. Readers will be caught up in a compelling and startling voyage. Robert Watson has brought to vivid light with extensively researched detail the powerful story of this single ship and the harrowing plight of those sent to a tragic fate in the final hours of the war. It is riveting, little-known story of disaster, and for all, too few survival. Robert Watson has told the story of the voyage of the Cape Arcona, with poignancy and power, and above all, with fidelity to history and respect for those lives who were lost. The Nazi Titanic is a story worth telling, unpredictable and unendingly interesting. Watson's prodigious research and master of the art of storytelling shine forth in every page. How sad and how angry this reader felt when the great ship went down. Set with great skill within the larger context of the war, the Holocaust, and several of the principal perpetrators, this long-suppressed, gripping, and moving story is told with the historian's rigor and narrative artistry of the gifted storyteller. It's unforgettable. So like I said, if you guys want to learn about a ship that isn't really well known, I mean, she was a very well-known ship in her day because she was one of the most luxurious liners to sail the South Atlantic route, minus the French line, the French passenger liner Atlantique, or Atlantica, yeah. Cape Arcona was a very famous ship, but she has been largely forgotten because of the war and the sad, terrible demise she went through. And if you're like me, you like to learn about history and stuff, and learn about the war, because that's something else I learned about too, is about the wars, especially World War II. Give this book a read. I give it 5 stars. It's definitely worth the reading. It's a thicker book, so minus the notes and stuff, it's a 254-page book, and it's definitely gripping. I read this in 3 days. So yeah, that is my review on the Nazi Titanic, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And sorry about farting earlier, but that wasn't my fault. That was the White Castle talking. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have read it, tell me what you think. And until next time, this is Commodore Urban saying have smooth seas and clear skies, and happy sailing with you. And God bless you. You take care now. Good day.